Welcome to the RSN Sports Statewide Tailgate Show, produced by SETV for RSN Sports Network and Vibe National. It's game time across the mountain, so join us for all the in-depth analysts, predictions, fan interaction, and more. The RSN Sports Tailgate Show is brought to you by Thomas Health System, Little General Stores, the Greenbrier Resort, Palmar Convenience Stores, Weblaw Center, Summit Orthopedics, Sports Clips of WV. From the heights of the Allegheny to the banks of the Ohio, from Oakland to Bluefield, it's one state, one sports network. It's RSN Sports.
And welcome, sports fans, to the RSN Sports Dutch Miller Tailgate Show. I'm Dana Farrell, filling in for the great one, Frank Gardenia, who is out tonight. And to my right, Lisa Odie, the queen. To my left over here, Carl Lee, the All-Pro. And then Rusty Webb joining us over here on my far left. And we are live at Laidley Field for one of the biggest game, if not the biggest game in the state of West Virginia here on this Friday night high school football. We have the number one team in the state, AAA, the Highlanders of Huntington High School here, taking on the number 6 team, Cougars of Capitol High School. Big game, guys, and I don't know, the winner of this contest looks like we'll have the inside track going down the last half of the season, looking at a home field playoff type of advantage. The loser's going to have to battle back. Rusty, you're connected a lot. Obviously, we can see with that with the Capitol High School. He's not going to make any bones about it. But atmosphere at Capitol High and with the community this week, give us some input into what that's like heading into a big game like this.
Well, the Capitol fans show up in large groups, and Capitol's had a slow season, and this is the first real tough defensive front that they've had to face. And they got a slow start last week against Cabell Midland, and then they had somewhat of a blowout. Nazario is he's versatile, but he's not impenetrable. In other words, you can't run him against this defense up the middle. You're going to have to stay outside as much as you can and run big number 36 up the middle once in a while, the bus, who I actually made a poster for last year because I was so impressed with him. So fans will be out. They're fired up, and you're right. Whoever wins this game has the inside track to a home playoff series.
But I think what makes this game intriguing to me is because I don't know, when you have a rankings 1 and 6, Capitol is that kind of team that the rankings doesn't really matter to them. You know what I'm saying? I think they're the type of team, doesn't really matter. They can turn on a game and beat anybody. So to me, if I'm Huntington, I'd be just a little concerned about this game because you can't have any kind of a letdown. What's your thought? What does Capitol really need to do to get out of the box early?
I'd like to see them connect on some long passes, loosen up the defense. I really don't think they should go up the middle much. I mean, they've had trouble already. Lisa, you've kept up with them. They've already had trouble running up the middle on Cabell Midland last weekend, and so you got to loosen them up with some outside plays. But
guys, the last time we were up here at Laidley Field doing a show, it was a big showdown between undefeated South Charleston taking on the undefeated Capitol Cougars, and everybody was expecting a huge monumental match, but it turned into a rout pretty early on. Capitol came out, like you said, 2 or 3 big plays right in the first quarter, and they really got stunned South Charleston, who never got its legs back to underneath of it, and so you have a situation like that as a possibility as well. We also, guys, if you'll recall, we were at playoffs last year up in Point Pleasant when Huntington came in as a heavy favorite, and same thing. Huntington came in as a favorite with the playoffs at that venue, and of course Point Pleasant playing at home got out early. Had the big running back up there with Mitchell that went on playing at Marshall now, and just got on Huntington quick. So they can be vulnerable. So you just don't know which of these two teams. We know coming in. Capitol is 3-1. They lost the one game to the Johnson Central Kentucky team. It was a very good team over there, so it's hard to get measure that against West Virginia competition. Huntington comes in undefeated, so a lot on the line for both teams.
I was just going to allude to what Rusty said. I think that their best option for offense is to throw some couple of long passes, complete those passes to kind of loosen up that line, because Huntington has the capability. If they control the line of scrimmage and the tempo of this game, they could dominate. If you look at these two teams, they both combined to play in the last 3 AAA championships of the past 3 years. They're both Titans, and at this point, Huntington is undefeated. Capital wants to play for that home field advantage as well as Huntington, so it should be a really great matchup.
There are other big games going on around the state. We mentioned we have Martinsburg, number 2 in the state, taking on number 5, Morgantown, up in Morgantown this evening. So that's another big AAA game to watch. We have some others. We're going to talk about all those games coming up tonight's show. We also have big college games this weekend. Mountaineers going over to D.C. to take on the Cougars of BYU. And then, of course, the Thundering Herd of Marshall. Big game. A chance to redeem themselves after last week's disaster against Akron. They've got a chance to rebound tomorrow evening in Huntington against a very top-rated Louisville Cardinal team coming to town. So we're going to be talking about that, some NFL news. Carl, we talked about before we went on the air, a lot of things going on in the NFL. So we'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Big show tonight. Thanks for joining us.
Jeep in South Charleston, because of all that crazy snow, we're a little overstocked with brand new Jeeps, so we're in a little bit of a pickle. So what we're going to do to help that is create what's called a nickel pickle sale, which means that you can get a brand new Jeep at Dutch Miller South Charleston with a down payment as low as a nickel. What do you think about that, Dill?
I look like a jalapeno. This is ridiculous.
You look great to me. What's wrong?
Why am I in this?
Well, it's a nickel pickle sale. We had to have a pickle.
Why couldn't I have dressed up like a nickel?
I didn't think of that.
For more than 200 years, guests have been coming to the Greenbrier to take the cool mountain breezes and experience authentic Southern hospitality. Today, that passion has been reinvented. The Greenbrier is the quintessential luxurious vacation. Book your stay today, and we'll create experiences that last a lifetime. Call 877-735-5068 or visit greenbrier.com.
Hi, I'm the host of a new sports show here in Charleston called The Brandon Lowe Show. I talk WVU, Marshall, high school sports, and even national stories. Things don't always go as planned. But Nick always knows how to tackle the problems.
Listen to The Brandon Lowe Show, weekdays at 5 on AM 950 and 95 to sportsfox.com.
And welcome back here to Laidley Field in Charleston, West Virginia. Big matchup tonight. The Highlanders of Huntington High School taking on the Cougars of Capitol High. Dana Farrell, along with her colleagues Lisa Odie, Carl Lee, and Rusty Webb here. We are looking at a lot of big games around the state, but we're also looking at some of the college games. And, of course, a big one this weekend, Mountaineers of WVU going over to D.C., FedEx Stadium to take on the Cougars of BYU. And guys, your thoughts and inputs on that game coming in. Cougars 1-2, Mountaineers 2-0.
Well, I'll start. West Coast teams that come to the East Coast and have the jet lag are always at a disadvantage. So advantage West Virginia, Carl. It's sort of like going to Mile High Stadium and you're not used to the altitude. So first advantage for West Virginia is going to be the jet lag. They just can't seem to get used to it. Carl, you've got a lot of experience with that.
Yeah, I think when you have those kinds of trips, especially if you try to come in the day before, so I'm not sure their travel plans, if they're going to come 2 days early just to kind of get acclimated. But when you make that kind of a trip, it is a challenge for you to adjust to it. Sleep, you just have this kind of sluggish kind of feeling. So that could be a challenge for them.
Yeah, the Mountaineers, that's a bus trip. Easy trip over for them. So not only is it an opportunity to pick up a good quality win, but they can keep their costs down in doing so. It's good for the athletic department. Yeah. It's good for fans. There's a lot of fans in that D.C. metro area, and the Eastern Panhandle and things are going to be able to make that trip.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the fan base that shows up, because the reason you play those games, 2 reasons. To give your fans an opportunity who normally would have to travel great distance, and, of course, to expose your team to that area. You know, the Virginia Basin, of course, is huge college football recruiting area. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. A lot of prognosticators said Marshall may have more fans at their game tomorrow than West Virginia will in the Pro Stadium. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I think the fans will probably turn out pretty healthy for this game. I know that Holgerson has really praised the fact that they're at a neutral site. The only problem he has with it is the restrictions for his recruits. As far as being able to even have any kind of contact with them, I think there's some kind of regulations that the most he can do at this game is hand them a ticket and let them go. So that's his only problem with this. He kind of likes the neutral site. And as far as WU, I think they're trying to go for their second straight season unbeaten with the teams that aren't part of the Big 12 conference. So they've got a lot to play for. And then you look on the other, if you flip the coin, BYU, they're really trying actively to become a member of the Big 12. So they're really motivated to win this game so that they can prove to the Big 12 and everybody in the nation that they belong in that conference.
Well, WVU answered the call. Okay, the playoff committee said, "Hey, we want you to play tough teams outside of your conference," and they took on the premier G5 team, and they took on an SEC team in Missouri. So they've answered the call, Carl. Are they going to step up?
Well, what concerns me again, being a Marshall guy, let me make that clear first. One of the things that concerns me still is they still don't score well inside the red area. That offense, for whatever the reason, has not been productive inside of the red area. So they can get up and down the field. And so in these challenging games, I think they end up kicking field goals where they need to score. And I think long term for them to get into a better position as a true contender, I think they've got to find a way to score. Now, again, whether that's play calling, whether that's just the scheme of what they do, I'm not exactly sure what the problem is. They just haven't been able to score in the red area, so teams kind of let them go 20-20, and they don't score. And I think they've got to do that.
5 years into this Holgerson regime, you would think, I think the expectation was this was a coach who was going to come in with a prolific offense and put points on the board. But we found that since that first season with Geno Smith, since then he has struggled to find a way to get production out of the offense. Been successful enough, obviously, to be able to stay on and keep that position, but the offense living up to what the expectations were, it just never has materialized.
It's not a Big 12 offense. I mean, everyone else is scoring way higher averages.
Well, and then is it okay, Queen, for I think if my math is right, it's 38 and 28. I think Dana Holgerson is 38 and 28 in the 6 years that he's been here, and is that enough? I mean, would that have been enough before with any other coach to this point?
I think it's enough every season while they're undefeated. And then when that first loss turns up as they go along the line, then that's when the questioning starts. Yeah. Is it enough? Especially if it's a loss to someone, that they should have probably beaten. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know enough about BYU. You don't see them a lot on the East Coast as far as when you're watching your football games because of where they're located. But back to what you said about offense, I wonder how much of the offense being ineffective is, could you contribute to the fact that Skylar Howard hasn't been 100%? He had that injury in the first game. Of course, they said he was 100% this past game. But honestly, they're not going to say anything else before they play a team. And you just wonder, how much of a factor has that played in the offense being able to score when they need to?
I'll agree with that, but Rusty, I'll challenge the question and make the question to say, well, does it really matter who the quarterback is? This has been a problem that they've had for a while.
Yeah, it's supposed to be his system that was supposed to produce the points.
It makes me question the system and or the play calling, whoever that belongs to.
Don't forget he inherited Geno Smith.
Exactly.
And guys, I think going into this game, Mountaineer fans are going to expect this to be a win and expect it to be a convincing win. I don't think 10-7 or 20-10 is going to get it. Obviously with that win is a win, but they're looking for this offense to take off and get it done. And I think that BYU is struggling on offense, so I think this is an opportunity for West Virginia to get the win and hopefully get a convincing win to allow their offense to gain some confidence and start to move forward.
Well, I would say this to kind of close out my piece on this. To the idea that Dana Holgerson's offense is quarterback friendly, I would challenge that now at this point, that it still requires a quarterback that has the skill set, and it's not that thing that we heard early on when he first got hired. It doesn't really matter the quarterback. The system is just quarterback friendly, and they can, all you got to do is get in the system and it works. I don't think that is true anymore.
Yeah, and another thing, guys, we alluded to it briefly here, is the fact this is the neutral site game, and West Virginia has taken part in several of these neutral site games. They had the game with Alabama just the year before last, and they've started to do more of these outside of the conference where they can get a pretty good quality opponent and not have to get into a home and away or two aways for one home.
And a nice paycheck. A nice paycheck, too.
Yeah, so that helps. And so, you're looking at, and this trickles over into Marshall a little bit, you want to try to give your fans at least 6 home games. And if you're WVU, you want to shoot for 7 per season. And then you got Ohio States and the Alabamas, which are on another tier, that are getting 8 home games essentially. And then they may agree to one of these neutral site games if you're lucky.
Did you say another tier? Did you just put
another
W
tier
on a tier below? You may anger some Mountaineer fans out there. Because,
well, I'm looking at financially as much as anything.
I'm just kidding. I mean,
so it is what it is. I mean, it's another tier.
Yeah, I know. It's true. It is. But, I mean, some fans, it's hard to hear that.
Ohio State would be another one. They can play 8 home games.
Sure.
You look at it, and most of those are going to be in conference. And so they go out and they schedule a couple of cupcakes that they can pay somebody to come in there, and then they may schedule one neutral site game to get a quality opponent. Now, the new emphasis on quality opponents for the playoffs is maybe make some difference in there. It matters who you play and if you play on the road or not. If you get that win on the road, means more than one at home.
Well, and I would even say for the teams who like those money games, that hurts them a little bit, because now you're not, some of these teams who really want to be on, quote, that top tier, it's not even worth the money to pay it and get a big victory. They're looking to stay competitive so that they can stay in that top tier or manage to find a way into that top tier.
Yeah, that playoff committee is so important. And so, I think, this is another situation, like I said, West Virginia, not just for its fans, but I think, if it has aspirations, it wants to run the table this year, as any team would. This is a game that they need to win and win convincingly. So, it's a big weekend. A lot to watch for in that contest tomorrow. We'll move on. We'll take a break here. We'll come back and look at the Thundering Herd, an even bigger matchup for Marshall tomorrow.
Around the clock, 24/7. Hundreds of Thomas Health System doctors, nurses, and staff are focused on making quality care and wellness our utmost priority for you and your family. Each one of us is personally committed to your optimal health and well-being. Thomas Memorial Hospital and St. Francis Hospital. Your trusted, personal choice for a lifetime of good health.
For everything sports, the action is at Collectibles, etc. Sports collectibles and more are here. Over 100,000 items in a great location at the Nitro Marketplace. We are your WVU merchandise and apparel connection for men, women, and of course, kids. Mini helmets, full-size helmets, t-shirts, hats, blankets, and hoodies with your favorite sports team logo. We have it all for the sports enthusiast and for the whole family, too. Take the Cross Lanes exit and drive up to the Nitro Marketplace. Also find us online and on Facebook. There's never an off-season at Collectibles, etc.
Welcome back to Charleston, West Virginia, Laidley Field, as the Highlanders of Huntington High School take on the Cougars of Capital High School. This is the RSN Sports Dutch Miller Tailgate Show. I'm Dana Farrell, along with Lisa Odie, Carl Lee, and Rusty Webb.
I need a nickname. How about the lawyer?
The lawyer. I like
we got
it.
the lawyer here.
Clutch
I like
over
it.
there.
I like
The
law.
queen and the lawyer.
And the lawyer. There we
There you
go.
go.
We got it all covered.
All right, so yeah, we just finished talking about the Mountaineers, and they've got a big contest over in D.C. this weekend. But the Thundering Herd of Marshall right here in its backyard here in Huntington, and they take on, what is it, number three this week, the Cardinals of Louisville coming to town. So big, maybe the highest ranked team to play at the Jones in the history. So big contest.
Let me start with that. When Marshall played Florida a long time ago, they were ranked either 1 or 2. So that was the highest ranked team Marshall had ever played on the road. This is the highest ranked team Marshall's ever played at home. Kansas State was ranked around 6th when they came in last time. This is, what do you say? They blew it against a good Akron team.
Took all the pressure off.
You can't take away. Yeah, they lulled Louisville into a false sense of security.
Yes.
I like that.
I would
like
challenge
that.
you a little bit, but yeah, you're right.
First of all, you should never play a noon game in Huntington. They just don't play well in day games. They like to play at night when their fans are fired up. I think you're going to see a different team. A win would be nice, but I think you're going to see something closer than you saw at Akron. I think they're going to come out as the home team, fired up. Louisville's going to probably win the game, but Marshall's going to give them a fight.
All right, here's what I'm going to say on that. I think that this is a great opportunity for Marshall to play really well. And again, I agree with you. I'm not sure that this is going to be an upset, but I think it could be something that could give them some confidence. But what scares me with this quarterback is he gets out early, and I think all of a sudden, and we've all been around sports enough to be able to say that moment that something big happens, we're talking about tonight's game, if you can make something big happen, it can change the dynamics of the game altogether. This quarterback is a game changer, and he changes it early. I'm thinking all those guys like, oh no, here we go, and now it could get ugly in a hurry.
Yeah, I think you have to prep your team, and I'm sure Coach Holliday will. You have to understand, hey, he's a great player, and he's going to make some plays. So it just doesn't surprise you. It doesn't take you out of your game when he does make that big play or he makes that scramble when you think you have him caught. And there's going to be moments at adversities in big games like Bob Pruitt used to tell the team. Hey, in every contest, you're going to face some moments of adversity.
Yeah, right.
So be prepared for them. You fight through them. But if you control the game, and big plays will come and go, but if you control the game, the tempo of the game, then you can make things happen. And I think hopefully that's the strategy they're going to look at. Try to keep the ball out of his hands as much as possible.
Itching to talk. You've got to get her out.
She's like, will you hurry up and be quiet? She's got a point.
She's ready to talk.
Well, I just have to throw this stat out there because when I read it, I was like, my jaw dropped and my eyes got really big. But when you're discussing the quarterback from Louisville, Jackson, of course, I think he's going to be a Heisman contender, if not the clear front-running winner. So, but these are his stats in 3 games, okay? He has accounted for 1,377 yards. This is himself, okay?
Right.
1,377 yards of offense, 18 touchdowns in 3 games. Compared to Marshall's total offense of the whole team of 1,090 yards in 2 games.
It's going to be like tackling
phenomenal.
a ghost.
Yes.
He's a beast. He's a beast to be dealt with.
Make no mistake, 5,000 to 10,000 of those fans have come to see that quarterback play. I mean, I would travel to see Louisville play, but just to see this guy. I mean, he is outstanding.
I've heard tons of people say, I want to go to the game, I want to see the quarterback. I maybe have never seen a Heisman candidate who could ultimately become the Heisman Trophy. I want to be able to see him. And that's not a bad thing for Marshall. That's just the reality of how big this guy has gotten just in an instant.
And that's interesting you say that because you look at how did Louisville get him? And you look at with all the, like I said, these top-tier teams, and Louisville, as much as they've improved their program, it's not in there with that Alabama, Ohio State type level, Michigans of the world. But occasionally it shows you, with some good recruiting and sometimes just good luck, you get a player that comes on like that. So.
Well, and I think this could also be a case of player fitting into the system, player liking who the coach is, player likes the system, just simply that, and thinking, man, I could come in and I can play right away. That is an attraction. I go back to my own recruiting. People were talking about, well, Marshall isn't this. They haven't won these games. Why would you go to Marshall? Well, that was one of the bigger schools that was recruiting me. But the conversation was, you can play. Right. So if you're a kid who's interested in playing, and you're a kid who's interested in maybe getting to the next level, 4 years or even 5 years of opportunity of being in college and playing gives you a better chance than maybe 2 or 1. And so to me, I think that's where recruiting is getting better, because kids are starting to realize that you can come from just about anywhere and make it on Sunday.
Right.
Well, remember this too. It's always been said that the tide raises all ships. When Louisville left whatever Conference USA or the AAC and goes to the ACC, it raises your recruiting automatically, because you're no longer the coach of a G5. You're now the coach of a P5. So it gets you instant credibility. Not to mention this coach, who's a pretty good coach.
Absolutely.
A lot of controversy, but a pretty good coach.
Yes, this is an 8 p.m. primetime game on Saturday night in college football. And I think you made a good point. The amount of fans, Marshall fans, coming just to see this quarterback. Think of how many people around the country are going to tune in just to see this guy and to see what's going on. But what an opportunity then for Marshall to be hosting this game. And, they don't necessarily have to win it, but they need to represent themselves well and the program well. So there's a great upside for Marshall, win or lose, by this guy being in your stadium.
Well, and I'll say this, and I'll go back, and Rusty, you probably will remember this as well. When I was at Marshall in '79,
we went through all 4 years together.
Yeah, exactly. We went and played Mississippi State. And they had just come off of beating Mississippi. So as a young, naive freshman, I'm thinking, well, you know what? I get to play against some guys who are going to go to the NFL, and this will be exciting. So if I'm at Marshall right now and I'm on that defense, and I'm thinking this is a Heisman candidate, and short of injuries, he's going to be in the pros, this is my platform and my opportunity to play against a guy who I may never play against anybody as good as this guy, and I can show the scouts,
build my resume.
I got to build my resume. An interception, a pick six off a guy like that, everybody's going to remember that.
We talk about the team level, but we hardly ever talk about the one-on-one. I want to beat you because you're the best.
Yes.
And we're in my stadium.
Now we're going to show our age a little bit, and adding a little bit of blue and gold flavor back into it. But you can remember the years with Doug Flutie, and everybody, when he came to town, everybody wanted to make that. And for whatever reason, the Mountaineers had his number and could put pressure on him. And even as big as playmaker as he was, they would always get the upside on him. And it was a big deal at the time. So I think Marshall has that same opportunity to come in there tomorrow night, make some play. He's going to make.
Set did the same thing back in the day too.
Right.
And it is amazing, Queen, that when we look at these games and we look at them as a team concept and/or just the star doing his thing, we never really look at that other guy on the other side of the ball, whatever that offense or defense, who's trying to make their mark, and just that individual goal of what is it like playing against Tony Dorsett. And we had talked a little bit about the 49er game years ago with Joe Montana and all, just being in that game and saying, I don't know if we're going to win it, but, man, I want to play and build my resume. That's really important.
Yeah, and you have to overcome the starstruck part of it, too.
Absolutely.
Because you look at this guy, and he's like one of your idols in whatever sport it is, and you want to play your best and you want to compete, but you kind of also look at him as your childhood hero or whatever, and it's hard
Just
to
like
overcome
tonight
that.
with Carl. I'm sitting
But
beside
I
him.
heard 79.
We're the same age. We're the same age.
I heard 79, and I was like,
Yeah.
Are you really going there?
Like,
Yeah,
Are you really going
going
there?
to open up that box?
I think I was in elementary school.
I'll say this: the first time I played against Franco Harris, that was the first time I had to fight through starstruck. Because I can remember, I was like, I can remember him growing up. How is it possible, still he's out here and I'm playing against him? So I'm looking at this guy like, should I even tackle him? Can I help you get up?
Can I have your autograph?
That piece of it is an amazing thing, though.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Is it okay? I guess, when is it okay for you as a player to go ask for another player's autograph?
It's never okay.
It's never okay. It's never okay.
After the game.
Yeah, maybe
Even if it's for like a relative or something.
My son wanted Walter Payton's autograph, and I made him go to the bus and get it on his own.
Oh.
Just so, because Walter had probably walked up my chest during the game. I didn't really want to sit in front of him.
Yeah, you lose some points if you do
lose
that
some
yourself.
points.
Oh, boy.
Oh, guys.
That's good.
Well, guys, it's a big game, a big weekend. College sports out, absolutely, and none bigger than right here in our backyard in Huntington, West Virginia as the Cardinals come into town. So that's a contest, like I said, not just the people of West Virginia and Marshall fans, but all over the country are going to be looking into that contest. And it's the Stripe the Stadium, so we'll see how that goes. I don't think they've done that before down at the Jones. So should be. Are you going to have the Webb Law Center van down there?
I bought white shirts today in case somebody doesn't wear a white shirt, because I'm in a white section. I'm in the 118, the white section.
So you're going to be like the white shirt Nazi. You're going to go to people and give them a white shirt.
I'm OCD, man. You don't know.
Well, I just want to put this out there and put him on blast on camera here. I don't have a shirt, even though I won't be at the game. I like to have a shirt. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. So I can't get a shirt. I'm going to be a little upset, and that'll be next week.
Autograph shirt.
Yeah.
Well. And you take that van up to Morgantown as well, because you work both sides of this.
Oh yeah, I take it to both schools. Yeah.
So you're with both schools. It's just they happen to be out of town, and so you're trying to fix that up both ways. So.
Right.
But big weekend, so we'll take a break here on the RSN Sports Tailgate Show here in Charleston, West Virginia. Big game, big night. Crowds trickling in here. We'll be back right after these words from our sponsors.
Hi, I'm the host of a new sports show here in Charleston called The Brandon Lowe Show. I talk WVU, Marshall, high school sports, and even national stories. Things don't always go as planned. But Nick always knows how to tackle the problems.
Listen to The Brandon Lowe Show, weekdays at 5 on AM 950 and 95 to sportsfox.com.
One of the most complicated areas for any business is human resources, not to mention workers' compensation, payroll, and employee benefits. At ASI, we provide relief from the everyday burden of employment administration. ASI allows businesses to cost-effectively outsource the management of human resources, employee benefits, payroll, and workers' compensation. Free your business to concentrate on what's important, operation and revenue. We want to help your business. Log on to ASILLCWV.com and let our business help your business grow. ASI, business helping business.
It's back to school time, and there's three things I gotta get. A buffalo hide backpack, my vintage Gunsmoke lunchbox, I put apple juice in my thermos, and a new pickup from Dutch Miller Ram of South Charleston.
During the summer clearance event, take your choice of over $13,000 in discounts, 0% financing for 72 months, or drive for as low as $199 a month on 2016 Ram 1500 Bighorns.
During the summer clearance event at Dutch Miller Ram of South Charleston.
Welcome back to the RSN Sports Dutch Miller Tailgate Show here in Charleston, West Virginia. Laidley Field is the site. We've got the Highlanders of Huntington High, #1 team in the state here tonight. On the field behind us should be warming up, along with the Cougars of Capitol High. And guys, it's a great night for football. Sure is. At least here in the shade it is. It was pretty hot today, up close to 90. But, we've traveled around the state and been some different various places, but the temperatures have remained pretty warm all the way in here to week 5 in the season. We know we're heading in October, and eventually it is going to cool down. But right now, it's kind of a summer type, August type, first week of the season type of game. You think the heat would be a factor tonight?
Well, you know what? Here's what I'm thinking. If, again, looking at the Capital side, I'm thinking if they can get out, they're more on the athletic side. So typically what you assume, the athletes will be able to run all night. They'll be in shape to run all night. The heat won't bother them. Now the bigger guys on the other side of the ball, if you can force them to have to run, get out in space, get outside, quick screens outside, make them have to run to the ball because that's how they're disciplined. Now when you get to that fourth quarter, if the game's closer, I think that heat works better for Capital.
Right, and you notice the field, it looks like it's going to be pretty well shaded, so you won't have the sun, directly beating down on them during the game to overheat.
That turf is going to hold the heat, though.
Right.
It goes.
Well, that's true.
So depth becomes a factor in a game like this. And so we have another big game going on, like I said, up in Morgantown. We have the Bulldogs of Martinsburg High School #2 team in the state on the road, just like the #1 team in the state here. So you got the 1 and 2 teams in the state, not only on the road, but playing top 5 type caliber competition. So you've got this interesting dual matchup in the state of West Virginia tonight in high school football. Morgantown 4-0. So one of those two teams, they're again going to come out of there with a lot of rating points. You're going to be, because whoever they beat is going to go in and win a lot of games themselves. So you really, any of these 4 teams, whether it be Huntington, Capital, Morgantown, and Martinsburg, 2 of them are going to come out of there with a lot of ratings points. And they're going to continue to get a lot of them as the other teams win throughout the year. So big matchup up there. I'm not sure who I like in that one up there. Morgantown's got the home field advantage, and what a great home field to have up there. But, wow, Martinsburg, really, for all intents and purposes, a lot of people's favorite to make it to the Super 6 and win it all.
Yeah.
And teams like that, typically, home field, you always have an advantage for home field, but good teams, great teams, that doesn't really bother them. They don't mind coming into somebody else's house and winning the game. So I don't know if I'd weigh too much on the home field. I think I'm going to go with the quality of the team.
We're talking about Louisville again?
Exactly.
I know Martinsburg's offense last week put up 69 points against a team, I think it's called Spring Mills. I don't know much about them.
New school over there.
Yeah.
Spring Mills was a playoff team just a year or 2 ago. But they graduated and lost some seniors. But certainly that was a road win.
That's a significant number.
Absolutely.
In high school, so we'll see. But I think Martinsburg has won, I think, the most recent contest, maybe the past 3.
So you're going with Martinsburg? Is that what we're hearing?
That's what it sounds like.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, if you look at the past record, Martinsburg seems to have, their number right now.
This
so
is
we'll
a tough
see
call,
about
guys.
tonight.
You could go either way on this one.
Yeah.
Martinsburg, though, I think with the expectations, they're going in, they need to win this game to be able to make the Super 6, and they have the experience behind them. So I'm going to lean that way toward Martinsburg myself. Big game. Just down the road from us here, you've got the #8 team in the state, Spring Valley, AAA, 3-1, taking on the #10 team in the state, South Charleston, the Black Eagles. This is a pivotal game. We made a note here for South Charleston. They got off to a slow start, but last week they put up a lot of points in a big home win, and they've got a chance. They're at home again tonight. Can they do it against Spring Valley? They do this, they get a lot of points.
Well, it's rather coincidental. South Charleston and Capital both scheduled the Kentucky school, the Central school, in the same year, and both got beat going down there. So going out of state might not be a good idea.
Exactly.
But you've come to the point now where the AAA has shrunk to such a smaller group. If you want to get that quality competition, you sort of have to go and travel a little bit. And Coach says you can, they pay just like they do in college. So Coach Karp says you can make as much money at a good paid away game as you can at a home game. So
it's become a lot like D2. Yeah. Trying to save you on some money. You can go somewhere and make a little money versus trying to even do it as a home game. You may not, just because of the expenses that you have at home. I'd say this on South Charleston. My concern is, that you start the year off without scoring. You can barely score. Then you go to the opposite direction. Consistency and where they are truly as a team. I think we won't know this probably until midway through the season, because I'm just not sure they found their niche yet. And what is it that they really want to do, and really what do they want to be? I think and I think that's going to be their struggle, trying to get an identity that's a consistent one that they can run with. When you start talking about some of these other teams that are ranked, you clearly see they're defined and they are what they are, and we talk about it. Cabell Midland's this, Martinsburg's this.
Right.
And it's my school, but South Charleston is what? I'm not sure who they are, what their identity.
We know they have talent.
Yes, we know that.
But they could not find the offense to go with that. They struggled in there. They had a freshman, sophomore quarterbacks, a couple they were trying out. struggling in that area right now. But again, last week they were able to seemingly solve that, put some points on the board offensively. Can they do it back-to-back? If they do, then watch out. South Charleston could be strong down the stretch. So I think it's really something to watch for. Spring Valley, on the other hand, 3-1. If they get this game tonight, 4-1, you start to look at possible playoff implications. It's a home game, and I know we were just talking about the expense of going on the road or staying at home, but for a AAA school, if you get a home playoff game, it should mean money to you.
Right.
And you hate to think like that, but playoff games are money, in triple and double A especially, and versus going on the road, look at the expenses you have to incur. So it could be as much as an $8,000 or $10,000 turnaround to your athletic department if you have to play a playoff game on the road versus getting in home. So these regular season games matter as to whether you get to host a home playoff game.
Well, and Queen, I'd say this. Typically, we're used to South Charleston as being one of those names that's going to be somewhere in the top, ranked in the top. And so they're going to play somebody that's lesser of a team.
Right.
Now the question becomes, can they hold on long enough instead of being one of those teams at the bottom, forced to play one of those top teams in the beginning of the playoffs and be one and done? That could be a challenge for them as well.
Yeah, and I think tonight is probably the finish, the hardest part of their schedule, so to speak, for the season, because Spring Valley, they came in last week and pretty convincingly beat GW. I think it was like 54-21 or something like that.
Right.
So they're the real deal.
Kind of surprised a lot of people.
So it should be a challenge tonight. But if South Charleston could find a way to beat Spring Valley with some good defense and some decent offense, they might be on the road back to getting that top.
I agree. It's certainly a contest that we need to be watching. Every fan needs to watch, and we have the Score Stream scoreboard on our website. It's rsnsports.com. Those scores are coming in real time, so we'll be able to keep an eye on that. Whether you're at the game or you're at home somewhere, you can watch that score as it comes in. A double-A game, it's up north central part of the state. The Bears of Grafton High School taking on Lewis County, the Minutemen, in the double-A contest. Again, both teams 3-1. Again, the winner going to have an inside track, not only for the playoffs, but possibly a home date in there. So a big game to watch up there. And we get back, we got AAA, University High. There's more than one undefeated team in Morgantown, guys. In fact, there's 3 undefeated teams in Morgantown if we count the Mountaineers, right? And possibly all 3 of them can still remain undefeated after tomorrow night.
Right.
So, Morgantown got a lot on the line this weekend. University High, the Hawks up there 4-0 in triple and number 3 in AAA. Traveled down, though, to a very tough number 2 Fairmont Senior High School, 3-0. So that's going to be a tough one up there on Sunday night.
I find this really interesting just simply because it's AA and AAA. And you've got to figure that AA team who's undefeated, who's now looking at this AAA team that's undefeated, what does that mean if they could come in and win that game? That'll be an interesting dynamic because that just starts to show what is the disparity between top-ranked teams, AA and AAA.
That's at Fairmont Senior, so the university has to go on the road to be able to pull it off. So, and you bring up a good point between the triple and AA and things. Really, it's a whole separate discussion, but should teams get a variance from the SSAC ratings? And I know I've seen Bill Gillespie over here standing off to our right, but should teams get a variance to be able to play an opponent nearby like that or a rival and not lose points for playing down a division? So, in this particular case, an example would be Nitro and Poker. They're right there beside each other. There's no reason why, and you talk about good gate for both teams year in and year out. They should be playing each other rather than double or single or AAA.
Well, it goes back to what we used to always call community ball, right? And you're always playing, South Charleston playing Dunbar was always a great game. It didn't matter what the records were, that became the most exciting game on the year, And so, to me, I agree with you. I think there's revenue in it, but I think there's also just community pride that you build alongside that, and I think that could help offset some of the consolidation kind of things. Play close. If you can play close, I don't care what the rankings are. I think that just would be a whole lot better for all the community.
Yeah. If I'm the SSAC, I want to encourage those types of matchups, especially the rivalry situations, and not penalize a AAA team for playing its rival or a team next door like that. And we can see this is going to be a good contest.
I mean, can you tell me 3 schools that are closer in proximity and St. Albans, Nitro, and Polk.
Right.
I mean, you're talking 3 miles between 3 schools.
Right.
It's crazy if they don't all three
Right.
play.
Right.
They should be playing each other, and like I say, shouldn't be penalized for doing so.
It shouldn't be right.
Now we get into it's a different story. You get into basketball. Sometimes there's a lot of triple schools that will not play down double A's, just strictly out of the fact that hey, we don't play double A.
Well,
just out of prestige.
Speaking of Polka, I mean nobody wanted to play Polka during their run.
No,
Right.
nobody, because there's a good chance you're going to get beat.
Right.
And yeah, your AAA team, you don't want that on you. So
This kind of sounds like a youth football conversation. That's a whole other show right there.
We could talk all evening. All right, up 79 again. We've got AA number 1 Bridgeport 4-0. They're going to get tested tonight. Number 12 Lincoln 3-1. Just not very far down 79. Cougars over there. That should be an interesting score. Can the Cougars of Lincoln High School hang with the Bridgeport Indians? And so Bridgeport, they've already beaten last year's number 1 champion, AAA Wheeling Park. So are they the best team in the state, regardless of class again? Who knows? But big test up there for them tonight on 79. Any comments on that one, guys? I'm going to take Bridgeport, by the way.
I would definitely take Bridgeport.
Yeah,
even on the road.
After
I think what you get with Bridgeport is usually a consistency and a certainty that you're almost sure this is going to be a good football team that's going to show up.
Right.
And so it's kind of hard to go against them.
Pretty good in everything that they're doing, and they not only are good in all their sports, they were like 2 or 3 ranked in the student section rankings that we do on Monday. So of course they've got a lot to cheer about. But they're just bringing it.
The same can be said for the next match is Moorfield. You can always expect a quality team from Moorfield.
South Harrison, of course, their fans were on our website today, and they're going to go over there and swat the Yellow Jackets. They said, so we'll give them one of those electronic swatters to go do it with. But South Harrison thinks they've got a good team. They're going to go over there and give Moorfield a contest. So they're again another score to watch on the Score Stream Score Tracker tonight at rsnsports.com.
Tulsa and Tug Valley, that's your backyard brawl right there. That's your southern backyard
Single
brawl.
A, Tulsa dropping down. Last year's AA runner-up drops down to Single A. That one loss you see there, 2-1, Tulsa was to Mingo Central, a very, very strong AA contender. And so you got the Rebels of Tulsa taking on.
Something I wanted to mention about Tulsa. They have played all 3 of their first 3 games on the road. Tonight's their home opener.
Wow.
Which, that speaks volumes on their record, considering they've been on the road this whole time.
We'll try to go there sometime, but there's no cell signal in
no.
Been over there to a game, and it's in the abyss. We'd have to get some type of a direct line out of there.
If the team doesn't beat you, their cheerleaders will. Because they're very good as well.
But great people and great teams over there. And you remember that was a football team that just a few years back had their field house burned down. I think the tragic fire over there, some vandalism and things. So for them to bounce back and have a great year last year, looks like another good year in Single A this year. Then we go back AA, number 4, Point Pleasant, taking on number 13, Mountain View, 2-1 tonight. Another one, a little double Single A matchup. Point Pleasant's got to travel down south. Let's see how they can handle that down in
Point Pleasant, I think we've all heard Frank say they're going to be in the
Frank's
championship.
team.
That's Frank's team. They're going to be in the championship. And we covered Point Pleasant last year, and this is a good football team. It's a well-coached team. They're not going to beat themselves, and I don't see them having a hiccup in this game.
No, we look at AA. There's really 4 teams in there I like to be the inside track to make it to Wheeling, and that obviously is Bridgeport. But after them, you've got Point Pleasant, and that'll have to be a strong number 2. And then Mingo Central has a lot to say about that. And then the Kaiser, the Golden Tornadoes of Kaiser over in the Eastern Panhandle, rolling along pretty tough again this year. So I think any one of those 4 teams definitely very strong. And then you have a host of other teams, just like we were at Sissonville last week. They're now 3-1. They can make a strong push down the stretch. There's Winfield, Hoover still undefeated. So there's some teams really wanting to make a statement in AA.
Go Hoover, go! We're all cheering on that team.
We were at Hoover. What a great atmosphere!
It was a great show.
So great for that school.
Yeah.
And then finally, the last one on our watch list tonight, number 10 in Single A, Bishop Donahue. At number 10, the Dragons of Cameron High School, 3-0. So both those teams undefeated up in the Northern Panhandle. Big game up there. Be watching for that, see how that turns out. There again, the winner's going to pick up a lot of points in Single A. In Single A, St. Mary's. We're going to get a chance to see them guys coming up. We're going up to Williamstown, it looks like. Well, I don't want to let a secret out, but I think we're going to try to get to Williamstown. I think when St. Mary's comes in there, and that's going to be big because St. Mary's in single A is just blowing people away. Yeah. So we'll get a chance to see both those teams. So out in that game there, I'm going to go with the Dragons. Tough pick here. You know, the Bishop Donahue fans, they get the McMeckham mob up there is what they call themselves. But I like the Dragons.
I like seeing them at the basketball games. They're always just fun to watch.
They are full of it. So that's going to be a great contest up in the Northern Panhandle. So those are some big games around the state. None bigger than what we have behind us here getting ready to take it. This is a 7 p.m. kickoff too, guys. So we may, when we come back on here, have to stop for the national anthem. But we're going to take a break right now, come back for a wrap-up. We'll talk about some NFL things if we can real quick, and then we'll close out. Dana Farrell here on the RSN Sports Dutch Miller Tailgate Show. We'll be back right after these messages.
Jeep in South Charleston, because of all that crazy snow, we're a little overstocked with brand new Jeeps, so we're in a little bit of a pickle. So what we're going to do to help that is create what's called a nickel pickle sale, which means that you can get a brand new Jeep at Dutch Miller South Charleston with a down payment as low as a nickel. What do you think about that, Dill?
I look like a jalapeno. This is ridiculous.
You look great to me. What's wrong?
Why am I in this?
Well, it's nickel pickle sale. We had to have a pickle.
Why couldn't I have dressed up like a nickel?
I didn't think of that.
For more than 200 years, guests have been coming to the Greenbrier to take the cool mountain breezes and experience authentic Southern hospitality. Today, that passion has been reinvented. The Greenbrier is the quintessential luxurious vacation. Book your stay today, and we'll create experiences that last a lifetime. Call 877-735-5068 or visit greenbrier.com.
Come on, come on.
Hi, I'm the host of a new sports show here in Charleston called The Brandon Lowe Show. I talk WVU, Marshall, high school sports, and even national stories. Things don't always go as planned. But Nick always knows how to tackle the problems.
Listen to The Brandon Lowe Show, weekdays at 5 on AM 950 and 95 to sportsfox.com.
Every day, around the clock, 24/7. Hundreds of Thomas Health System doctors, nurses, and staff are focused on making quality care and wellness our utmost priority for you and your family. Each one of us is personally committed to your optimal health and well-being. Thomas Memorial Hospital and St. Francis Hospital. Your trusted, personal choice for a lifetime of good health.
For everything sports, the action is at Collectibles, etc. Sports collectibles and more are here. Over 100,000 items in a great location at the Nitro Marketplace. We are your WVU merchandise and apparel connection for men, women, and of course, kids. Mini helmets, full-size helmets, t-shirts, hats, blankets, and hoodies with your favorite sports team logo. We have it all for the sports enthusiast and for the whole family, too. Take the Cross Lanes exit and drive up to the Nitro Marketplace. Also find us online and on Facebook. There's never an off-season at Collectibles, etc.
Yeah. Where's the short version? And we are back in Charleston, West Virginia. We're just minutes away from the kickoff here. Number 1, Huntington taking on number 6, Capital. And we just heard the national anthem by the Cougar Band. And guys, I don't care where you're at, who you are, that Capital High School marching band is amongst the best in the state, maybe one of the best in the country high school bands that you'll run across. And we've seen some good ones. That's not to take anything away. I've seen Campbell Midland, some great ones, and Point Pleasant, those all have great. But there's nothing like this Capital High band, and they did just a great job here with the national anthem. So we are close. 7 o'clock kickoff. It's a big night for high school football across the state. It's our last segment. Anything in the NFL that we want to update, and then big weekend number 3. I think we have two coming up here on the NFL.
Well, before we move forward, I don't really have anything moving forward, but I'll say this about last week. There is a huge Packer fan in this crew. Clearly, it's not me. That brought a cheese head last week and said that I would be wearing it today because the Packers would beat the Vikings. I don't see the cheese head today, so I'm not really sure what happened. I'll let her talk a little bit more about that and eat a little cheese as she goes about that.
She needs to wear some Viking horns. She needs to go with some Viking horns.
Maybe I spoke a little out of overconfidence for my quarterback and the fact that Jordy Nelson is back to catch his passes, and I really truly thought that we would go into that stadium and beat the Vikings. I really truly thought that. But
how did that work for you?
Rogers had a subpar game for sure.
That's what good defense will do to you. That's what good defense will do to you.
Hey, on a more serious note, the new stadium there in Minnesota, you've had a chance to be there. You were not too long ago over there. What's your first impressions?
It's unbelievable. And Rusty, if you see the locker room, you'd be afraid to go in it dirty. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's
just like wiping your feet at the door.
Don't you have your own elevator? Don't you have your own elevator?
I do have a little photo in there.
He has his own elevator. I mean, that's
like take your cleats off at the door.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's just so magnificent. I mean, outside you can sit outside and there's a huge screen that you can watch what's going on inside. Yeah. So I mean, it's an amazing. They created this whole big tailgate kind of experience. It's just unbelievable.
I can imagine. Of course, you've been around the NFL, so you've probably seen more than a few stadiums. How does it compare to the other stadiums around the NFL?
I would say right now, I think it's the most expensive right now and the best. I think it is.
Better than Jerry's World.
I'm
that's impressive. Jerry's going
to
have to build another one now.
Well, just from what it's supposed to serve and how it serves its fan base, I think it's really truly the best one out. You know, it's just really amazing.
It's almost like, and we see the same thing in college football sometimes, a facilities war and a stadium war in the NFL. It boils down to.
Oh, that's a recruiting tool. There's no question about that.
And I think what's happening now in the $1 billion with the B stadiums are making it fan friendly, and really trying to get people into the stadium.
Right.
It's an experience. It's not just
get off your couch, come here, and enjoy this experience. And I think that's what it's become.
That's a good point because there's so much media out there. You know, with social media now, things that they have to have a reason to be interactive at the stadium. So, well, we're looking like we're getting ready for kickoff here at Lately Field in Charleston, West Virginia. The number 1 team in the state in action tonight. We got the number 2 team in the state up in Morgantown. A lot of big games. Be sure and log into our website, rsnsports.com, for the Score Strain Score Tracker. You can see it all take place.
Before we go, I just would like to make sure the Queen has something
to go out
on the show.
Could do.
Salt in the wound. Salt in the wound.
There we go.
Get a picture of that.
Oh, good.
She goes. She can back it up. Guys, we thank you for joining us. Great place to be. Great state of West Virginia. Every game's a big game, no matter where you're at across the great state of West Virginia. We'll be back next week on the RSN Sports Dutch Miller Tailgate Show, and we thank you for joining us.